Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader, and tonight we will be focusing on the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly, which will be focusing throughout the high-level week on the global pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, the COVID-19, and the repercussions of it on the globe in the past year or two, and the economic repercussions and the economic rebound of the global countries from the COVID-19 in the near future, how to be helping the human beings all over the world. We will be seeing the participation of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in about 3 or 4 sessions at the United Nations General Assembly, and the 76th session. President al-Sisi will be taking part in the general gathering of the United Nations General Assembly, and the main session of it, he will be addressing the topics of climate change, the food security in Egypt, in the region, in the world, as well as the sustainable development and how Egypt is going through the sustainable development goals of the United Nations, and Egypt has set itself a 2030 vision for the sustainable development and the main goals that were achieved already in this plan. We will be having a report, first of all, about the presidential activities of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in Egypt, about the latest techniques of irrigation and agriculture. A meeting took place between President al-Sisi and Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, as well as the ministers of irrigation and agriculture on Saturday, to be developing the techniques of irrigation even through the rains, and they will be used in Sinai and the North Coast. We'll be having more details about this meeting in the upcoming report.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Saturday issued directives to the relevant government bodies to continue efforts to develop roads and main access nationwide. President al-Sisi chaired a meeting with the Presidential Advisor for Urban Planning, Amir Sayyid Ahmed, Chairman of the Armed Forces Engineering Authority, Heib, and other senior officials to follow up the construction and engineering position of projects implemented by the Engineering Authority nationwide. The meeting also reviewed the executive position of facilities currently being established in the new administrative capital, especially the Strategic Leadership Headquarters, as well as the designs of the Egypt Mosque and its halls. The meeting also dealt with the progress made on national construction projects, especially the scheme for planting olive trees on 65 fidans in the vicinity of Bahr al-Baqar water drainage system station, as well as efforts to benefit from unused vacant plots in some areas in Cairo and various governorates. It also covered projects to develop various roads and access, including the development of Ras al-Hikma Road in the northern coast, as well as studies for the establishment of an access parallel to the 26th of July access in Cairo. President al-Sisi also reviewed the executive position of the International Motor City, issuing an order to establish exhibitions and yards for used and new cars and an integrated set of high-level services. Separately, President al-Sisi directed the government to keep working with all the relevant bodies towards the efficient use of available resources nationwide, in line with the National Canal Lining Project. The President made the directives during a separate meeting with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, the Ministers of Irrigation and Agriculture, and Head of the Armed Forces Engineering Authority, Major General Heib. President al-Sisi was briefed on the ministers' joint efforts for rainwater collection and distribution in rainy areas, especially in the Sinai Peninsula, along the northern coast of Egypt and the Red Sea coast. He also followed up on ongoing efforts to rehabilitate and repair old wells, to restore them to working conditions and upgrade their efficiency. Meanwhile, Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation Mohammed Abdelati reviewed the progress in the ministry's hydrological and engineering studies needed for building the dams and dikes for better rainwater conservation.
Welcome back. You're still watching the daily debate. As we did see in the past report, the latest activities of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Saturday and the meeting of President al-Sisi with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and the Minister of Irrigation Sayyid Al-Qusayr and the Minister of Agriculture, or the Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation Muhammad Abdul Ati, and the Minister of Agriculture Sayyid Al-Qusayr on the latest means of and techniques of irrigation and agriculture in the country, as well as developing the roads and access and the infrastructure in general in the country. And I'm honored to be having with me in the studio to be shedding more light on this topic and the participation of President al-Sisi at the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly meetings is Dr. Khaled Abu Heib, or Mr. Khaled Abu Heib, the head of the International Cooperation Committee at the National Council for Strategic Planning. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. First of all, speaking of the report that we just saw, the meeting of President al-Sisi with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, with the Minister of Irrigation, the Minister of Agriculture, on means of developing techniques and having the latest in terms of having the latest techniques of agriculture and irrigation and water resources in the country. How did you see this meeting?
Thank you for having me again. And about the report, it's all coming together to fulfill the vision of President Sisi 2030. Speaking about the agriculture sector, which is the main backbone of the Egyptian economy and the biggest sector of the economy which have manpower. It's a no-brainer. It needed to be completely reformed, especially with the water challenges which we have, and also about the acreage to be planted. So definitely, to fulfill the vision of 2030,
yes,
the infrastructure for the agriculture also has to be changed. So the president, in the past few months, we have seen him on the Cairo-Daba axis to opening the projects for a new delta, about 2 million fadans, and also trying to get much more water toward the Sinai and the canal area to reclaim this area. Also the mega projects in the new valley. All of this cannot go with the traditional way of agriculture. So we need complete new systems. So for the irrigation, for example, we're going to use the drip irrigation systems,
yes,
the sprinkles, to make these stations work. Some of these places are rural, so we'll not get electricity. So the solar system is going to kick in, and about 5 or 6 months ago, the new Valley Governorate had one of its bids over there to be depending on solar energy and solar panels for well irrigations. Yes. They're putting solar energy station for each well. There were, I think, the first stage was about 178 wells.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to tell you, it is completely changing the way we used to do agriculture in Egypt. And parallel to that, the government is pushing very hard behind the agriculture bank. It is completely, right now, they're coming with a new strategy to be completely, I would say, renovated, actually to make it from scratch and to make it all digitalized. So we know who is planting what according to our Egyptian agenda, And what facilitation does he have? They need microfinance, they need mega finance. So the whole agriculture sector in Egypt is being reformed as we're speaking right now.
You've mentioned that agriculture is one of the backbones or the main pillars of the Egyptian economy.
Definitely.
How do you see the process of diversifying the Egyptian economy under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi? It is not just about tourism. It is not just about agriculture. It is more about having more infrastructure, building thousands of kilometers of roads, building tens of new cities, building a new capital. How do you see agriculture under the tenure of President al-Sisi in regards to what is happening in different sectors as well? In agriculture, yes, in tourism, in construction, in different sectors of the Egyptian economy. It's not just about a focus on agriculture, am I right?
You're absolutely right, and it's a very good question.
Yes.
Let's first answer about how it's the agriculture changing in the past few years. We are right now from the top 10 countries in the world exporting oranges.
Yes.
This never happened before. Okay, and right now, as we read all in the newspapers, the cotton is being, how can I say, is being recovered, because the cotton plantation was almost like in the ICU, intensive care unit.
To regain our status.
Now we are, this year, we have over 500,000 fadans planted with Egyptian cotton, and God willing, they're going to have good prices, and we can start to really enter back and reclaim our position about the Egyptian cotton in the world. So definitely there is a big change, like the amount of potatoes we export right now, and the new industries which start coming to agriculture, like the organic agriculture. We didn't have it before. Now we start to have it, and they have mainly for exporting. So this is agriculture. And this is all parts of the Vision 2030, which the President said about it, I think 2016, 2018 to start it.
Yes.
We need to start, it's all pieces and parts, which all have to work completely in harmony to each other. And the government has to start to listen to each other. It's not isolated islands no more. So that's why the infrastructure and the technology of communication is entering. Everything is automized. Everything is getting digitalized. Now, after digitalization, we need to come to digital transformation, which we start to make these systems need to read each other and to cooperate with each other.
How can this digital transformation affect agriculture?
Oh, definitely. Right now, and I think a lot of our viewers who are Egyptians by nationality will see that their fathers or grandfathers, they didn't know what to plant. Oh, should we plant tomatoes? Should we plant potatoes?
Yes.
It was a matter of guessing. Now we do have the Egyptian exchange for agriculture, which is like a stock exchange. We know what is needed in the market for local market, on what dates, what is needed for the international markets, and what dates, what kind of tomatoes you want to plant, what type of oranges, what type of potatoes. It's no longer just potatoes. No, we need for French fries, we need it for cooking, completely different. So this will give the farmer or the people who are working in agriculture a plan what to plant and what to expect in an income. So when we do this, banks can get ready to open the letter of credit, transportation, and the whether it's maritime, by boat or by air, everybody getting ready to know how many fadans are planted, what are they planted with, where are they going to be shipped to. So it is not going to be haphazard, or it is not like a stroke of luck. So definitely it's transforming the market right now.
Yes, and speaking of transformation, we will be Heading to the main topic of the daily debate for tonight, the participation of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly meetings and the addressing of President al-Sisi to three different sessions: climate change, the food security and sustainable development, speaking about the progress of Egypt in each and every field of those, and what will be expected of Egypt in these fields. We'll be having more details about the participation of President al-Sisi in those sessions in the upcoming report.
The 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, officially opens on Tuesday with the general debate, an opportunity for representatives from all 193 member states to address the chamber. This year offers the 76th session a chance to really show its purpose again and whether or not a lot of countries lived up to their lofty promises from last year of being good UN members and being really committed to the structures of renewed multilateralism in the world. Incoming UNGA President Abdullah Shadid of the Maldives will be formally elected by the body, replacing outgoing Turkish President. Shadid has laid out the theme for the session: building resilience through hope to recover from COVID-19, rebuild sustainability, respond to the needs of the planet, respect the rights of people, and revitalize the United Nations. The new UNGA session was meant to signal return to normality for the UN's most awaited event, but surging coronavirus cases are set to again curtail the general debate after the US requested that speeches be delivered by video. Still, the UN has said that 83 heads of state or government or other top representatives are so far slated to speak in person in a series of speeches that begin on September 21st, while another 23 have applied to deliver pre-recorded speeches. US President Joe Biden will deliver an expected counterpoint speech to former President Donald Trump's antagonistic approach to the organization. Last week, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres presented the Our Common Agenda report, a response to a request from member states following UNGA's 75th anniversary for the UN chief to make recommendations on how best to address the challenges of global governance. Special focus will be on the 9-member Credentials Committee this year, with questions over who will be recognized as the legitimate representatives of Myanmar and Afghanistan likely to dominate the proceedings. The new Taliban government in Afghanistan, meanwhile, has not designated a replacement for the current official who continues to represent the country at the UN despite the fall of the government that appointed him.
Welcome back. Mr. Khaled Abu Heib, the participation of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly. What is the significance of the participation of President al-Sisi in it, and how different is it this year?
Okay, let's go back again to our vision of 2030.
Yes.
The most important part of it is that our presence in Africa and our presence in the world community, it's everybody right now know how important Egypt is important for not only geographically but for the peace in the world. Under his leadership, we happened to find the solution to the crisis in Libya. Under his leadership, we started to find a way for the crisis in Sudan. And most importantly, what the starting of another roadmap with the Palestinian and Israeli, and how the latest conflict which happened in Palestine, how we were able to diplomatically and politically solve it. So Egypt's role is very, very important, and the patience and the diplomacy which his presidency and cabinet started to show is gaining a lot of respect around the world. And it shows also that we do mean business. So internally, we are building our country. We're having mega infrastructures everywhere, but also on the international arena. Let's not forget how patient they were, like for instance addressing the natural gas opportunity which is in the Egyptian maritime water,
Yes.
and the conflict which
In the Mediterranean.
in the Mediterranean,
Yes.
between us and Cyprus and Greece and Israel. Then the foul, let's say it like that, the foul which has been done against us under, I don't want to say under previous leaderships, but it was very important the world was monitoring us, how we're going to reflect after some of these people who signed the treaty was withholding back. No, we played diplomacy. We started to talk back again with the partners. We started to bring Turkey, which we had big conflict with them in the past few years. Now we are getting back again together. So if any part of the players is want to change his position, we are the big player. We will choose who we're gonna work with. And you have seen in the past few weeks that Iraq, the new oil pipeline, which is going to be from Iraq, Jordan, Egypt. Nobody have ever thought about that. And also, if on that pipeline, after that one starts, if Qatar want to join and they want to export their gas, they'll be more than welcome to export it through our line, the Kuwait line, it's through Europe. I think a very high delegation from Cyprus was here last week regarding again the gas line between Egypt and Europe. So we are not rational no more. We are sitting on the table and playing diplomacy. It is the same thing like when we woke up yesterday and we found, oh, France withdrew its ambassador in the United States and its ambassador from Austria. It's all business right now. So nobody will say, France will enter war against the United States. No, there's a conflict in business. So
Billions of dollars.
Billions of dollars. So the way, I don't want to say problems or challenges were handled are very well respected around the world. And you can see that right now the American government is pushing hard to finance projects in Egypt. They are, if you get the reports, you will find a lot of any finance opportunity opens in Egypt, the Americans are number one entering into it because no economy in the world is giving the return on the investment like the Egyptian economy. Plus, mainly, Egypt is the gate to Africa. With all this infrastructure happening in Egypt, to make the role model for the African countries, that's what it is need to be done. We first finished the logistic networks around Cairo, then now all nationally around Egypt. With the upcoming highways, you can start to go from here to Sudan. You can go from here to Chad. You can go from here to Central of Africa. The new air routes is going to be happening. The
To reach Cape Town.
To reach Cape Town, as you just said. It is claiming its steady footsteps. Okay, again, yes, Africa forward, but don't ever forget that Egypt is the gate to Africa. And as I always like to say, that with the building of the new African capital, it is not the new administrative capital of Egypt, it's the administrative capital of Africa. We are claiming all of that. So definitely it is in the right directions all the way.
Yeah, speaking of the participation of President Sisi, and he will be addressing the sessions of climate change, food security and sustainable development. Speaking of the progress that Egypt has made in those three fields, starting with climate and the climate change, how do you think Egypt progressed in this field?
Definitely in the previous years, under President Sisi leadership, the carbon footprints decreased dramatically. Like for instance, there is a lot right now of the buses running on natural gas, and some of them started to be fully electric. Green buses. We are starting to follow the green economy and the green banking. There is no paper waste, there is no ink. It's going to be all digitalized with the new infrastructure. Also, the joint venture which is being done with Nasser manufacturing car to be the first electric car in Egypt, manufactured in Egypt. Also, with the new infrastructure and with this green economy and with the green banking, the banks right now started to give incentives to the projects or to the financiers who would follow green management in their facilities. So all of this, and the Egyptian code now for the buildings is being changed. We never had the Egyptian code.
Yes.
Just only 2019 we finally had our Egyptian code. So now we have an Egyptian code. All of this, as we call it, as like on the closed economy, we are working all of this with the fintech and with these infrastructures and everything being changed towards the open economy. So all of this, by all means, will gonna decrease the carbon footprint here in Egypt.
What is the future of clean energy in the country? Do you think that there is potential for more here in Egypt? To be protecting the environment, the climate, not just for the country, but for the region and for the world?
About the fuel fossils here, like generating electricity, we have the biggest solar energy bimban in Aswan. It is the biggest in Africa and is the biggest in the Middle East. And the second one is under construction right now. You're going to see that, as I was just telling you, that in the New Valley Governorate, they are making all the power stations solar energy, which is new and renewable. So the new and renewable is going on a fast track everywhere. And with the new infrastructure which is being built, there's going to be much more of these green and sustained solutions coming into effect and playing in everything.
Sustainable development in the country. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is always mentioning this word for the future, for the near future, and for the long-term future of Egypt. What is the importance of sustainable development as we go with the main rules or guidelines of the United Nations for the whole world, not just for the region or the Middle East, that we need sustainable development for the future generations?
Okay. When we talk about sustainable development, it's always number one is going to be the environment and the economy and the social life. And definitely in these three axes, the government is pushing hard and doing its best towards all of these things. With these three main areas being developed, and all of this is being protected with the correct law enforcement power and the correct forces to defend our democracy and our independence. All of this is coming all together in harmony to create the new republic, if you want to say it. It's the new republic, it's the new Egypt, which has been happening. So by all means, this is, the world had crisis, the world had COVID-19, we had wars in every border. You mentioned it on our map. Borders to the west was Libya, to the south is Sudan, to the north was the Mediterranean and what could happen with the gas. To the east we have the Palestinian Israelis. All of this passed in a couple of years, and we were not sucked in any of this. We closed in ourselves, and now this mega project is going to be happening. Who can believe that with this network of roads we can go any point to any point all over Egypt in ease. The second thing is the mega project in the, like for instance, in the transportation for the trains, the new electric train, the new driverless electronic train, which is going to come, the speed train from El Sokhna up till El Alamein, the monorail. All of this is coming while every part in the government is working independently and doing its own job. So definitely this is meant by the sustainability. We are not going rational again, this up and down. Our voice and tone is steady, and when we draw a line on the map, you better respect it. And we have seen that in multiple occasions. And everybody knows his mistake, and they come back to us. So it is great the way of how things been handled.
One impressive field that Egypt has had throughout history is food security, especially during the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. Yes. We've had food security, and even, as you mentioned, big projects, national projects targeting food security, like Silo Foods, for example, in the past month, and the inauguration of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to it. How do you see the progress made in the past 7 or 8 years, the target of food security in the country, not just for now, but for tens of years to come?
Okay, and to measure how strong your economy is or what is your strength, it is measured during crisis and during difficulty. If we go to last year during the COVID-19 crisis, which was worldwide, there are countries which went bankrupt. Here in Egypt, when you see even the prices of the product, they didn't change. And we thought that there are going to be some shortages in some commodities. It never happened. The prices...
And we saw that in the so-called big countries and the superpowers. We didn't have that here.
Yes, we didn't have it. It didn't happen haphazardly. It happened that there was correct planning, and everything was put in place, and there were people working to execute the plan correctly. That's why it went smoothly. Yes. Now, after the COVID-19, the prices starts to go up and down, and surprisingly, we don't have any problems right now. But again, it's the power of the market going up and down. So to measure it, how good we are, we're just going to take the past year and a half as an example. We are solid and we are stable, and if there was any doubt...
Despite the pandemic.
Yes, and that's how we measure our success. And if there is any problem, it could have been seen during the challenges of the pandemic.
Yes.
But alhamdulillah, I got to say, and God bless Egypt, always things went smoothly, and we passed that.
President al-Sisi is set to address the United Nations General Assembly on Egypt's stance towards the regional and the international issues. How do you see those stances of Egypt towards specifically the regional causes?
Definitely. Don't forget that we do have now a new president in the White House in the United States. It's a completely different new era. And his party Democratic Party is looking to spread a new face of the American superpower.
Yes.
They are, with all the reports says that they are investing heavily right now in Africa and mainly in Egypt. So economically, I can see that this is a golden opportunity for Egypt to claim its part and to claim its position in Africa, that if the Americans want to invest in Africa, they're gonna do it through Egypt, because we have all the tools ready and set to go. And addressing the world community, the world, as I told you, all our borders were going through crisis in the past few years. And the way we started to solve the problems is a message to the whole world. That's the way things has to be done. And with that, it is spreading of peace, spreading of sustainability, and the example is there. And they can take Egypt as an example. We have this crisis, we have these challenges, and we have a sustainable development going in. And we are going through steady steps, and we are getting ready to a real big push to the front.
Everyone knows now throughout the world about the resilience of the Egyptian economy, especially during the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. But is this an opportunity, the participation of President Sisi at the United Nations General Assembly meetings or the 76th session? Is this a possibility and an opportunity to be discussing the economic potentials of Egypt?
Definitely, and the whole world is listening. The whole world wants to listen from the president of this country, which his economy was completely in the red, and now it's in a great standing position. I remember in March 2020, on another show on Nile TV, I remember the report about Bloomberg and all the financiers in the world doesn't want to finance Egypt. And they tell them how you gonna pay your debt. Now they are lining up because we showed them that we can solve the problems. We have models to solve it. We have the solutions to a lot. So right now, for instance, as you see that Egypt has the highest number of startups around the world. What's this going to tell you? That this youth in this country are sitting around a player, are they losers? No, we have the highest number of entrepreneurs and the startups all over the world. And this means, like this Swift company, a company with a couple of $100,000 started in less than 24 months is being sold with, I don't remember how many, 80 millions or whatever. These are big numbers. And with a nation, its people are now on approximately 110, over 100 million, with most of the age bracket in it, they are youth. This is a humongous power, whether to innovate, whether to study, whether to do a lot of impossible things.
Coming up with ideas.
Ideas, yes. And that's why, again, we have the highest number of startups, not in Africa, in the world. So this will give you the how we are and how the world are looking to us. And with the information now and the clarity, the government is going, oh, we have a problem? Yes, we're not hiding it. We do have a problem. It's an open economy. So we start to talk the same language like the West is talking. So they start to know that our numbers are real, our circumstances are real. Okay.
There's transparency.
Yes. So if you put your money in the United States, you're gonna get 0.5% return. Oh no. If you put it in bonds in Egypt, you're gonna have 10 or 12% return. It's no brainer. We're gonna go to Egypt with the stability and with the execution of the laws and that the government is showing that it is protecting the investors, there is no harm on your money to be in Egypt, okay? Why not? You have the market, you have 100 million people, you have the innovations, you have the education. What else you need for any investor to come invest in Egypt? And they are investing heavily. Right now you can see that there is a lot of projects are being offered finance, and the battle is so tight between our brothers from the Gulf area, which they love investing in Egypt, and the United States, which is coming very heavily to enter Egypt. And from Egypt, they are putting their eyes definitely into Africa, and they are not joking with Africa, because Africa is going to change the complete change of the world economy.
What are the other topics that are greatly important for Egypt and that the president, in your opinion, will be addressing or tackling?
Definitely, President Sisi is putting in mind what we're going to do in Africa. Africa can absorb our labor power, like it was just today in the newspaper, 1st of October, we're going to have the first 1 million worker to go to Libya. But now they're going to go to Libya according to the Egyptian laws and protected by the Egyptian laws even when they are under Libya. So even our manpower, we start to manage it. So Libya wants about 3 or 3.5 million Egyptians to go. Okay, so after they went, when we sat with the Libyans, we told them this is needed to be done, 1, 2, 3, and we give them a roadmap to do it. And if you reach this point, we're going to send our workers to be over there. I don't want to say work, but literally the workers, no, with the doctor, the engineers, all of that.
Yes.
And right now, the first 1 million is going to start from October 1st to go to Libya. Plus, the rest of the African countries are going to follow.
Yes, Mr. Khaled Abu Heib, the head of the International Cooperation Committee at the National Council for Strategic Planning. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's all mine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.